with Kentucky at Ole Miss. For this game, the over-under is 54, and Ole Miss, the lower-ranked team, is favored by 7 points. And so, Trey, what do you think?
Like I said at the beginning of the year, I like Jackson Dart, but I really haven't gotten to watch an Ole Miss game, so I can't back up that statement yet. But I mean, I believe that Ole Miss could go into this game and win this game. They're playing at Ole Miss, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, playing in Oxford. I mean, SEC is different. It's hard to go into a place and win a game on the road, and I just feel like Ole Miss will probably pull out this game by a touchdown or two. So it's going to be a pretty good, close game. I don't see a big difference between Kentucky and Ole Miss, but just that home crowd advantage gives Ole Miss the edge, in my opinion.
I agree. I think Kentucky's been challenged this year. They're both undefeated. They've shown who they are. They're obviously a top 10 team. Ole Miss, there's a little bit of unknown about them. They haven't really been challenged this year, but I have to give them the edge because they're playing in Mississippi.
Yep.
Well, we got a fight here because I have Kentucky, and I have them
All
by
right.
a little over a touchdown in this game. I just don't know what to think about Ole Miss. I was lower on them from the beginning of the season, but their run game looked pretty good through these first few games. But the problem is there's some holes that are getting poked in that run game because they have some injuries. And so I don't know if they can get it started on the ground super early. And Jackson Dart has had some, or Luke Altmaier, who really, they've kind of split time some. Whoever they've had at quarterback has had some questionable decision making. I think Matt Corral, whatever you want to call him, he is a big reason on why they did so good last year. And even with that team, you needed some help. And so to get to 10 wins like they did. And I'm just not super confident on them. I feel a little higher on Kentucky, even though I'm not super huge on Kentucky either. I was a little lower on them starting off the season, but I think their defense is going to be able to be opportunistic, and they're more proven than Ole Miss is. And Quentin didn't tell me why he picked the teams he did. He can't be here today, but he did also pick Kentucky. So it's going to be y'all two versus us two. And that's an 11 a.m. game here in Central Time. And so that will be a fun one for us to fight out. We're gonna be at each other's throats early in the day. Next, we have, and I know y'all can't see right now, but I put some classic logos on the screen, and wow, they just look so good. We got that Oklahoma State Cowboy, and we got the Kelly Green Baylor Bear. Looks like the Grizzlies logo, Trey, the old one. Yep. And Rob, you start us off with this one.
This is a very tight game. Oklahoma State, I have them winning the Big 12. I had them preseason going into Baylor and winning on the road. I'm sticking with them. Baylor's a tough team. They had a loss early on, and this is one of those. Baylor being the home team is a small favorite. This is one of my upsets of the week. I'm gonna go with Oklahoma State keeping that undefeated record and staying in first place in the Big 12.
I mean, I completely agree. I haven't been too impressed by either team this year. They just haven't played to the level that they played last year. But this is going to be a hard-fought game, especially this being the rematch of the Big 12 Conference Championship last year. And I feel like with Oklahoma State having that bitter taste in their mouth last year from missing the college football playoff because they lost that game, I feel like they're going to go into Baylor and win a very, very, very close game. I would say within a field goal, in my opinion.
Unfortunately, we're only going to get to see about 30 minutes of this game. It starts at 2:30, and we all know what starts at 3.
So we got 2 TVs.
We'll have it on the backup TV.
All right. So I'm taking Baylor. I'm taking them by about a field goal. I think home field decides this game. And I just don't know if Oklahoma State's going to be able to get to the quarterback. And Blake Shapen, when he has a clean pocket, has been pretty good. Now, when he doesn't have a clean pocket, that's a different story. Oklahoma State, they didn't play a game last week, so you could think, oh, they're gonna be fresh. Oklahoma State, they're gonna come out striking. Baylor came off a tough win last week against Iowa State. It was a good win, but it was obviously Big 12 play. You're gonna get a little banged up, but I just have too many questions with Oklahoma State. I was already a little lower on them preseason, and I only take in preseason stuff in when we don't know a whole lot about a team. Like Oklahoma State, we don't know a whole lot. They haven't been tested yet this year. Ole Miss, they have not been tested yet this year. And so I'm just going to ride with the team I know a little more about. And so I'm taking Baylor just with home field. But I would not be shocked either way. And I actually wrote down as a little note, I said might change if I'm on an island. I'm not going to be the only one to pick Baylor, so that's not happening. And so Quentin also has Baylor in this game, I think, for a lot of the reasons I mentioned.
We're just a third of the way through the season, and but I would say right now, and things can certainly change, but Oklahoma State may be the only chance the Big 12 has of putting a team in the playoffs right now. Everybody else that's really expected to compete already has a loss. Baylor, OU, and Texas.
Kansas.
Not
Miracle
Texas.
season.
Yeah, but
Miracle season.
Hey, don't forget
This LSU
2009.
2019 over again.
Yeah, and Quentin also has Baylor in this game. So, Rob, are you on an island, or Trey, did you also pick Oklahoma
I
State?
chose Oklahoma State.
Okay, so
Yeah,
me and Quentin
I think-
against you and
I
Rob
think
so far.
on picks 1 and 2, it's split.
Wow,
2-2.
this is. Hey,
The
I think we're gonna have a
smart
lot
versus
more of
idiots.
this. We're gonna
And-
have,
The intelligent people versus the idiots.
Yeah, Trey, you're going with Ole Miss too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, you and I are.
Intelligent.
Yeah.
all right. Well, hopefully here we can get some common ground. Next, we have Bama going into Arkansas.
I think we all agree on who's going to win this game.
Yeah.
Especially with the way Arkansas played last week. I have a lot of questions about Arkansas, and they're not going to figure out those answers against Alabama. I mean, Alabama's one of the best teams in the nation, even though they had that really tough game against Texas a couple weeks ago. They bounced back, obviously, with I think the previous 2 games, and I just don't think this one's going to be remotely close.
My only question about this game, really, and I know Arkansas is good, and I know they're playing at home, which I hope will make it a very competitive game. But my only question really is Alabama going to cover the spread? I think I show it at a 17.5 as of a couple days ago.
It's 17 right now.
17. Okay, I'm going with Alabama, and I just hope if Alabama does cover, I hope they do it all in the fourth quarter. I hope this is a competitive game because I don't want Arkansas falling off the face of the earth. They kind of did that last year after a great start. They lost like 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4, and we stopped hearing about them. I think they're a very good team, and if it weren't for that oink doink, they'd be right back in the top 10.
All right. So I'm also taking Bama, but I don't think they're covering.
Okay.
And if you look at their last road games, they have not been able to just dominate on the road. You look at A&M last year, Arkansas last year, Florida last year, Texas this year. They just haven't been able to dominate teams on the road. But Trey, I got 2 words for you.
What's the 2 words?
Bryce Young and Will Anderson.
That's 5 words.
Yep.
You should say I got 2 players for you.
Yeah, that's 5 words, man.
No, it was a reference to it was a Charles Barkley thing, right?
Yeah, I know.
You wouldn't understand, right?
He's
All right.
an idiot.
All right. That's 5 words, Chuck. All right. Nash and Paul must see TV. Yeah, but I
He's an
actually
idiot.
going back to the game, I actually have Bama winning by about a touchdown. And I just think that I don't think they'll cover, but I think Bama in that pass rush is going to be able to kind of pull away so where they're able to win this game late. I think Bama's just this is going to be mind-boggling to y'all, but I think Bama is the more talented team. And so I think that
No.
and they have a great run defense. And I know Arkansas has a great run game, but when you have a great run defense and a great run game, it makes you want to throw the ball. And I don't know if Arkansas has the ability to win a game throwing the ball.
Yeah.
I don't think that's their game.
To me, this is a close game if Arkansas can establish the run game early on. If they struggle against Alabama's front line, then this is going to become a early blowout. So
I had a good,
and that includes Jefferson. He's got to run, and he's really good at it, but he's got to pick up some first downs on third.
He didn't show it last week against A&M.
He did. He got a lot. Well, at one time,
the only time it mattered.
At one time.
Hey, so
you don't dive and extend the ball out when you're at the 4-yard line.
And he almost got it too.
Yeah, because he's like 6'7". He's crazy big.
So I had an actual, like, I was watching a show. I can't remember exactly where I got it. If it comes to me, I'll let y'all know. I had a really good quote, but I didn't want to waste it. And I think I might actually be talking about the same game of where I heard this before. So we'll go ahead and move on to that next game, and I'll explain more in a second. I'll start us off with this one. We got Wake Forest at FSU, and the over-under is 64, and Florida State is favored by 7. And I don't know about y'all, but in a hurricane, 64 points, I am taking that under every day of the week. And it's not because of the rain, it's because of the wind. I don't think they're going to be playing in the hurricane, but there's going to be some bad weather is what it seems like.
There's going to be impacts for sure.
And so I just don't know if Wake is going to – and this is going to be the story for our next game too, our tiebreaker. But I don't know if throwing the ball is going to be the best bet. And so to get to that quote I was just talking to y'all about, I think it was on On3. I'm pretty sure it was.
It was.
He goes.
I think it was Bud Elliott that said that.
It was Bud Elliott, or it might have been J.D. Pickell. He said, "Don't let Clemson beat you twice." And I think that, like, it. I was driving when I heard it. I was like, "Wow," because you see that a lot of times. I think you saw it with Miami last week, of where
saw it with Texas last year. Oklahoma beat them 7 times.
Yeah, Oklahoma did beat them 7 times, but it was yeah, I think that's a real possibility. I think when you come off a game like that and you're going into a hostile environment with a team that's on fire, I'm just taking FSU in that game, and I'm taking them by about a touchdown also.
Ooh. Okay, see, you had me thinking you were going with Wake Forest.
No, I think
I'm going with Wake Forest. This is probably my biggest upset alert as far as point spread, but if I had to give it more thought, and I probably should have, you're right about the weather. Who does that impact the most? I think Wake Forest has a better quarterback, better passing game, so I think that's going to impact them more than Florida State. I just can't see them taking Clemson to overtime, and even though this is a road game, I can't see them losing to Florida State. I think Florida State – I think Wake Forest has had a much tougher schedule than Florida State, and there should be more separation in the rankings between the two. I have Wake Forest preseason, I think in a 3-way tie, actually, for the Atlantic Coast representative in the ACC. So I'm sticking with Wake Forest beating Florida State at home or on the road, actually. Like I said earlier, this is an upset alert game for me, which I will not be mentioning later because we're already talking about it.
Troy?
I agree with Rob. I actually went and did the research on the weather at the game on Saturday, and the wind gust isn't going to be terrible. You're still going to be able to have a passing game in that. I looked at the radar. The hurricane is on the far east coast of Florida, so it's not going to affect Tallahassee. So I'm going to have to go Wake Forest, especially with the way they played last week. I feel like there's going to be a close game because Florida State is just on fire right now, which is surprising because they haven't shown this in a long time. And so I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring game, in my opinion. Not like covering the spread high scoring, but high scoring with the between the circumstances. So I have Wake Forest winning this game.
What Wake for this game means so much more to Wake Forest. They're 0-1 in conference while FSU is 2-0. If Wake Forest goes down 0-2, I think their chances of getting into the championship game is just it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I will add, I probably would. I'd lean FSU, even if there was no weather, like no bad weather. I like what I've seen a lot from FSU, so I don't mean to just say, "Oh, there's a hurricane," so the team that doesn't throw the ball as much. I do think Florida State's a good team, and if y'all go back to the predictions, I think it was 7-5 that I had Wake Forest, and granted that was without Sam Hartman, and he's back, so that doesn't really seem to be an issue.
He's back.
Oh, yeah, he's back. He's might be on his way to New York for.
Yeah. Something else, Mathis, that we haven't considered. I understand the impact that the weather will have on the game, but what about the impact of the damage that weather will cause to your local communities? Florida State will be potentially dealing with some of those emotions, while Wake Forest, they're coming from the Northeast. There's not.
They're about to wreak havoc part 2 on the state of Florida.
Hey, well,
Exactly.
maybe the emotional damage will cancel out because they just had an emotionally damaging game against Clemson in overtime.
I would say it was emotionally damaged. I mean, they lost a close game, but it was an impressive game from Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but
especially competing with the number 5
games like that
Clemson.
are crushing to a team. Like stuff like that when you're that close and you lose. Like that can be really tough, and you can see them lose the next week. And so
you're saying they're going to beat them? Clemson's going to beat them twice?
I think they might. I won't be surprised if Sam Hartman lights the world on fire again, and then I'll eat my words. I'm fine with that. Plus, we're mixing it up. We're getting some diversity in our picks. But once again,
I think you and I have except for the Alabama game, we have
everything different.
We haven't seen eye to eye at all.
Yeah, and Quentin once again is following my lead, and he's got Florida State also in that game.
So Trey and I have Wake Forest, and you guys have Florida. Man, Trey, you and I are going to have to find one game that we're different on.
It might be this next one.
All right. We're moving on. And if some of y'all don't know, or if you're just watching the clip when I post this afterwards, we have a little pick 'em, and so we pick games through the CBS Sports app in our and you just get 1 point per game. But if you're tied, we have a little tiebreaker. And so this tiebreaker just so happens this week to be NC State at Clemson. Clemson favored by 7, and the over-under is 44. And so, Trey, I want to hear from you first on this game.
I'm not really impressed with NC State, especially them only beating East Carolina by a point week 1, and they just haven't played great against pretty mediocre teams like Texas Tech. Clemson is a lot better than mediocre, in my opinion. So, I mean, I have Clemson winning this game by probably 10 points, and I have the over-under set at 50, I believe. 50?
Uh-oh. Well, I'm going with Trey. I'm picking Clemson. I think North Carolina State is overranked. They're going on the road to Clemson, who sneaked out of Wake Forest with the win. I think they're catching their breath now and they're getting back to business. I don't think Clemson is a top 5 team, but playing at home against North Carolina State, I'm going with Clemson for 51 points total. Clemson winning 31-20.
Yep.
So Trey, if Trey says that Clemson's going to win by 10, then yours is actually 30-20.
Whatever it is. I mean, I just chose something, honestly.
So y'all both have Clemson. Trey, you have 50. Rob, you have 51.
I'm going to go look to make sure.
Well, I bet you can't guess where I'm going here.
You're going 49
Clemson, 49.
52.
Nope.
I have
You're going
Clemson.
NC
I have it
State.
at 49.
You don't have
Are
any of
you
it right
going
so
NC
far.
State? You're
I have
going
it at
NC
49.
State. Oh, so you have them 49. So they're going to win 29,
21.
25,
Or,
19.
no,
What are y'all
that's
talking
it.
about? No.
Yep.
No, I have.
You said by 10.
Yep.
I
said
haven't said
by 10.
anything yet.
Yeah, no. Hey, I'm just rounding up. I'm rounding to the most even number in
All
football
right.
terms.
So what's the final scores y'all have before I get into it? Just so we have it.
31-20 Clemson.
Trey?
I'll go 14. So 35-21. I'll change my score.
You said 35-21?
Yeah, I'll change it, but I think 14 is more likely than 10 right now.
Okay. Well, you got to change it.
I'm going to. That's what I'm going to.
Okay.
All right, guys. I'm either going to have the worst weekend of my life or the best one when it comes to college football predicting, because on the road, I have NC State 24, Clemson 17. And I'm going to harp on it again. We will have bad weather. I'm still high on NC State. And when you have bad weather, what works better? Slow teams
Run, of course.
or fast teams?
What was the first one?
Slow
teams or fast teams?
Slow and steady wins the race. Give me NC State in a low-scoring affair. I don't think a whole lot of what Clemson did is going to translate this week. And I think that the weather's going to play right into NC State's style. And I had this game in the preseason. And so, out of my points, I've hit everything except for the last point. And it's hope. Because I really hope this happens. Because I want to have sniped this from what would have it been 2 months ago by that point. And so, I might have to.
Hey, Mathis,
Make me a
I
marksman.
want this segment clipped out regardless. If you win and you're right, obviously you're going to. But if you're wrong, I want it clipped out and posted as well.
Hey, well, I'll eat my words afterwards. All y'all know I'll take blame even when I don't deserve the blame. I kind of put everything on myself, and so, but that's a two-way street.
Too, man.
Yeah, I know, and I took a lot of blame, but I'll also say, since I take all the blame, if things go my way, I'm taking all of the credit. And so it is a two-way street, so I'm fine with hearing all of the crap that's going to come my way if it doesn't happen. But if it does, I mean, how many games do we have different? 1, 2, 3. We have four of these games different.
Yeah.
Out of these. And so Quentin's stuck to my hip on most of these. I don't know what number he has, but I have a total score of 41.
Our luck, though.
And so
our luck, though.
So I'm hitting that.
Our luck. Our luck will be of the 4 differences, you'll win 2, and we'll win
yeah,
2.
that's probably what'll happen.
Based off of statistics right now, I think we're more likely to win because Rob has won 2 weeks in a row. Won the first 2 weeks, and I won the third week. So the probability of us winning is a lot higher than yours.
Yeah.
Well, technically on the pick'em, it shows I have 2 wins. Technically.
Well, but one thing you have going against you, Mathis, is you're slumming it with Quentin. Quentin is bringing his career right now.
Yeah, Quentin's going nowhere fast.